The sector risk profile is another tool in the regulator's toolbox in an effort to try and improve the rate at which aviation safety performance is improving around the world. So let's take a step back. Internationally, there's considerable concern that really from about the 1970s, 1980s, the rate at which aviation safety is improving has plateaued. So, growth in civil aviation, huge growth in civil aviation following the Second World War, the 40s, but civil aviation in those days was quite unsafe. Very significant growth as the years have gone on, and also significant improvement in safety. That unfortunately really plateaued around the 70s and 80s. So people internationally, and let's focus on the Chicago Convention, ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, have really been looking for ways in improving that rate of improvement. So hence the introduction of Annex 19, the Safety Management System rule, hence regulators looking for better ways of doing things. Now, having come from the sector, I know for sure that if operators out there in the sector, if they acknowledge if they know what their risks are, and if they take the best steps possible to manage those risks, then we're going to get a better outcome than we will in the event that they're just trying to comply with rules imposed by government. So one of the big things about a sector risk profile is it's the regulator working collaboratively with the particular sector. So what is a sector risk profile? What's the process? It involves the regulator and the sector getting together to identify the major risks in the sector. Now, generally speaking, the way we've done this in New Zealand, we've used a facilitator to do that work. So we've had a contractor, consultant, somebody that has a good knowledge of aviation safety issues, really facilitate a discussion or a process where between us we identify the major risks in the sector. Now, it's important that it's a collaborative process because neither the regulator nor the operators have the full picture about what the risks are. The operators will have a view clearly, and frankly, they are closer to the operation than the regulator is, so they'll have a very, very valid view. The regulator, which has got access to international information as well as domestic, and also has the aggregated safety information from the sector, will also have a valid view. Together, they identify the risk. The really crucial part of the process is the regulator and the sector sit down together, they prioritise which are the most important risks to deal with, and they then work out the best way of dealing with those risks. Now, that's a really crucial step. I mean, in the past, and this just doesn't apply in New Zealand, but internationally, you ask any regulator what the solution to a problem is, and generally speaking, the answer, the solution, will be more regulation. Now, that's a nonsense. So a crucial part of this process is for the sector and the regulator to identify the primary risks and then work out the best way of dealing with them. So, in fact, there's another step as well. It's not just the best way of dealing with them, but who should own the risk. Ownership and best mitigation will depend on the specifics of a particular risk. There are some things that the sector is able to take ownership of and deal with better than the regulator can, and there's some things that the regulator should take ownership of and deal with. So that's pretty much the process in a nutshell. Work together, identify the risks, prioritise the risks, work out ownership, and then work out the best way of mitigating them.